When I came into office in 2017, our government had a disgracefully horrible situation going on. They betrayed its solemn pledge to America's veterans. You know that better than anybody. I learned a lot about it from your leadership in this state. Under the Obama-Biden administration, the VA was plagued by one horrific scandal after another. Remember, you turn on the news and you just see these horrible scandals having to do with the veterans. You didn't hear any of it. For 4 years, you literally heard that very little, and we did things that were really amazing, and I'm proud of. Thousands of veterans were put on secret medical wait lists, and many of them left to die without receiving any care or any aid under Obama. Some very bad people were abusing veterans in VA hospitals, including sadists. You had sadists. They were hitting the veterans when the veterans weren't in prime time, okay? They wouldn't have touched them in prime time, believe me, but they were hitting them when they were in trouble. And a lot of sadists, we got them all out. The VA employees were even caught stealing drugs intended for the treatment of our sick and wounded warriors, and they were stealing them and using them for themselves and selling them. But all of that changed when we arrived at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. We went from the absolutely worst, Brian, you know that. We went from the absolutely worst to, that was the worst presidency for the veterans, the previous presidency. Wonderful people. You're not allowed to even say that. It's not politically correct. I'll say it. To the greatest champion the veterans ever had in the White House. And it was very much promises made, promises kept, and a couple of the really big ones, just as I promised, I proudly signed the VA Accountability Act, allowing us to quickly terminate VA bureaucrats and bad people who mistreated our vets. We told more than 10,000 bad, corrupt, incompetent VA workers, people that were sadists, and they couldn't get rid. You couldn't get rid of them. You had no right. They could steal. They could beat people up. You couldn't do a damn thing, and we got it so you could fire them. And I said, "You're fired. Get out, 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 out of here." 10,000. Sounds like a lot, but it's a big system. And we got 10,000 really, really bad people out, very, very evil people. They knew who they were. They couldn't do a thing about it. It was amazing. So we got that passed in Congress, if you can believe it. They were trying for 30 years to get it passed. I also signed Veterans' Choice and made that permanent. We got that passed in Congress also, which was really a big deal. That was a big deal. You have choice. You can go out. If you're not getting the treatment, you go out. But thanks to this landmark reform, 3 million veterans have been able to get care as needed and when they wanted it. You know, they'd wait in line sometime for weeks and months. And, you know, they have some great doctors in the VA. They have really good doctors, but you couldn't get to them. You couldn't get to them. People would wait for many months. They'd become terminally ill waiting, something that could have been fixed easily. They'd become terminally ill. And I got it so that you go outside, you get a doctor, we pay the bill, and you get taken care of immediately if you had to wait more than a short period of time. So it was a great thing. It was a great thing. That was a great thing. That was very important. They've been trying to get that, by the way, that one 52 years, Brian. They were trying to get it for 52 years. They couldn't get it done. It just made so much sense right from the first time I heard it. And I heard it first up here from your people. Under the Trump administration, we secured record funding for the VA. We slashed VA waiting times by more than 33%. And even now there's a new chart that came out from our last period that it was 57%. That's a lot. And almost all veterans reported major improvements at their local VA facility once I became president. In fact, we hit an all-time record high of VA satisfaction of 92%. Nobody has even come close. And I got angry at my people. They say he's not a nice guy. Some people didn't like me too much, as you probably heard, because we were tough. We were tough, but they said, why is it 92? Why isn't it 100? And they left the room. They said, this guy's very difficult, but we really mean it. But we hit the highest approval rating we've ever had, and I have to tell you, that approval rating now is not doing so well. You know that. You know that. A lot of bad things are happening over there. What they're doing to dismantle that system that was so good. But to help combat veteran suicide. We delivered same-day mental health care at every VA facility in America and made great strides until Biden came along. Till he came along. In a few short years, we turned the VA from a national embarrassment into a national example of devotion and service and loyalty to the American veteran. It was amazing, an amazing thing and an amazing success. So we got it done pretty quickly. Once we got the legislation passed, I would say it moved along very quickly. Sadly, crooked Joe Biden, and that's what he is, he's a stone-cold thief. Crooked Joe Biden has been a disaster for American veterans. As one of his first acts in office, Biden gutted my historic VA reforms. He gutted them out, making it easier to remove bad VA employees from the job. And in a shocking act of betrayal of America's veterans, as well as the tens of thousands of dedicated professionals, and you do have great professionals at the VA, crooked Joe Biden is in the process of not removing people, but reinstating 5,000 of the 10,000 people that we fired who were fired for good reason, including statism and this, who were fired for very good reasons, and they want to give them back their full pay. They want to give them their jobs back, and we were very careful about that. We didn't get rid of people haphazardly. We got rid of people that were not doing their job, some really in bad cases, and some they just weren't doing their job. They didn't care. They didn't show up to work. And he wants to put at least half of them back, the same people. And it'll cost over $200 million to do that. I'd rather give the money to you directly. It's a lot better. It's amazing. I mean, it's amazing. It breaks your heart. It breaks your heart. That was such a big thing, and now they want to put a lot of those people back. Joe Biden puts bureaucrats first, I put veterans first, and I put America first. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's why today I'm announcing a number of specific actions I'll take to fulfill our sacred duty to our great American veterans. On day one of my new administration, I will fully restore the use of VA accountability. We're going to bring it back in full force. Full force. And we already have the legislation passed, so I don't have to go through Congress, which really, that's why it took 52 years, because they couldn't get it passed. But we have it passed. All we have to do is make it work. So we have the hardest part is done, and direct my Secretary of Veterans Affairs to fire every corrupt VA bureaucrat who Joe Biden has outrageously refused to remove from the job or put back in the job. Then instead of providing more than $200 million in back pay to VA workers like Biden is doing, I will ask Congress to take every penny of those funds to finally build a brand new state-of-the-art VA hospital right here in the great state of New Hampshire. Because I don't know if you know this, but we can say that no longer will New Hampshire be the only state in America without a full-service VA facility. You'll have it, and you'll have it done quickly. We have a great group.